So, you want to start watching NASCAR. Well, whether you're coming from another motorsport or you're completely green, we're glad to have you. NASCAR, or the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing, founded by the France family in 1948, consists of many divisions all around the US, as well as Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and parts of Europe. There are three main national touring series: the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and of course the NASCAR Cup Series. These are what most people are referring to when they say NASCAR. The Cup Series is NASCAR's premier division, consisting of the best drivers, the longest races, and the most money. This is what we'll be covering today, although most of this is transferable to the other two divisions. In 2022, NASCAR debuted the Next Gen car, a radical departure for the Cup Series. Throughout previous generations, Cup teams have built their cars largely from scratch, just like Grandma's biscuits, welding the roll cage, fabricating the body panels, and assembling it all in-house, or at least someone was. Next Gen was the first time in NASCAR's history without that element of competition. All chassis and body parts are produced by a third-party manufacturer, purchased by the teams, and assembled in their shops, just like an IKEA furniture set. A select few items are still produced by the teams, the main one being the engine. Next Gen's first season out was a bit of a mixed bag. While parity increased by an astronomical amount, the reason for that usually stemmed from a few flaws in the car. Parts issues and failures were the name of the game, but this was expected.
Just shitty parts.
And the issues largely were resolved in 2023. Going into 2024, the Cup Series is a bit of a weird place with horsepower. Since 2015, NASCAR has been lowering the horsepower output in the Cup Series. Previously, they produced upwards of 900 horsepower and were only restricted at the drafting tracks, but now they're down to 670 with a tapered spacer. The general consensus is that 670 horsepower just isn't enough. The issue has become more apparent on short tracks and road courses due to the Next Gen car's larger contact patch on the tire and larger brake package. Ultimately, the car's performance is better overall, but a better performing race car doesn't always produce better racing. Combining the decrease in power with an overall more aerodynamic race car, the racing product has suffered. Is there a plan to rectify the situation? Well, recent statements from top brass at NASCAR suggest no. The narrative has been an increase in horsepower would be too expensive for the teams, but these claims have been directly refuted by team owner Denny Hamlin and engine builder Doug Yates. Super Speedway racing includes Daytona, Talladega, and most recently Atlanta. The distinction is based on the tracks where horsepower is limited, drag is increased, causing the field to pack together and draft off each other, which is why some people call them drafting tracks. But we like to call them Super Speedways because it abbreviates Atlanta to ASS. Intermediate tracks make up a majority of the current schedule. While not quite as prominent as they were in recent history, still makes up a large part of the circuit. An intermediate track is any track 1 mile or above that is not a road course or a super speedway. Racing on intermediates used to be greeted with an eye roll from the NASCAR faithful, but has become some of the best racing on the schedule. So if intermediates are anything a mile and bigger, then you can use your big girl and big boy brain and realize that short tracks are anything less than a mile. The two races at Bristol, Martinsville, and Richmond, and the inaugural race at Iowa make up the 7 short track races on the Cup schedule. NASCAR also races at 2 other short tracks: North Wilkesboro Speedway, which hosts the NASCAR All-Star Race, consisting of previous and current year winners, and the preliminary event at the LA Coliseum. Yeah, that LA Coliseum, which hosts the Busch Light Clash. Road courses. Yeah, NASCAR does turn right occasionally. Tell your friends and family. They might not realize it. Do your part. The Cup Series will go left and right 5 times in 2024. 3 traditional road courses in Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and Circuit of the Americas. 1 street course in downtown Chicago, and the Charlotte Roval.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
What the fuck is a Roval? The Roval is the infield road course at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Oval. Road course plus oval equals Roval. Where's my nickel, Marcus? How do you make certain you participate in all the races? Well, you're going to need to buy a charter. What is a charter exactly? Well, a charter is literally just an email with the team owner's name on it. Now, obviously, there's more to it than that. A charter is essentially NASCAR's equivalent to a franchise, and they have added significant value to the race teams. The value of a race team used to just be hard assets, parts, pieces, and race cars for pennies on the dollar. But with charters, not only do you have a guarantee to race, but at least for now, you have guaranteed value. For example, BJ McLeod's charter for his number 78 car originally went for $3 million about 5 years ago, but it sold this past season to Spire Motorsports for $40 million. They paid $40 million for a fucking email. There are 36 charters available to NASCAR's elite team owners. Now, if you don't have a charter, you can still race because there are 4 open spots allotted in each starting grid. Upon arrival to the track, teams are split into A and B groups for practice and qualifying. Each group will receive a 20-minute practice session followed by 1 qualifying lap. The top 5 qualifiers from each round will set the top 10 starting positions. The rest of the field will be set by round 1 qualifying times. This is a procedure used most race weekends, but there are a few exceptions. The most notable exception being the Daytona 500, the sport's most prestigious race. 500 qualifying is similar to most weeks in that it has 2 rounds, but only the top 2 positions are set for the Great American Race. The rest of the field's starting positions are determined by 2 60-lap qualifying races, affectionately known as the duels. In this day and age, a NASCAR pit crew can change 4 tires and add 18 gallons of fuel in as quick as 9 seconds, and sometimes even quicker. These times are a large step forward from just a few years ago caused by the single lug nut system adopted for the next-gen car. This arms race has had its growing pains, largely in loose wheels falling off the cars during the race. But it isn't just changing tires and adding fuel. There are many small adjustments a pit crew can make, such as air pressure and chassis adjustments that will affect the balance and performance of the race car. Mind you, this is still all being done in less than 9 seconds. Pit road penalties are commonplace in NASCAR races, and it's all in an effort to keep the crew members safe. Penalties include, but not limited to, exceeding pit road speed limit, pitting outside of your designated pit box, equipment being removed from said pit box, having more than the allotted 5 crew members working on the car during a pit stop, and many more with all varying degrees of penalties. A NASCAR race is split up into 3 segments, or as we call them, stages. At the end of each of the first 2 stages, a caution flag is thrown and the top 10 finishers are awarded points, with first getting 10 points and 10th getting 1 point. I think you can fill in the middle. The winner of those stages are awarded a playoff point. We'll get to that in a minute. Most motorsports crown a champion using a fairly basic point system, compiling points throughout the entire season. NASCAR doesn't do this, instead opting for a system more in line with major sports that dominate America. The playoffs, or formerly known as the Chase for the Cup, takes the 16 best drivers and put them in a bracket-style round-to-round elimination for the final 10 races of the season. Qualifying for the playoffs is fairly simple. As long as you win one of the first 26 races of the season, you're in, but that's as long as there's not more than 16 winners. If you can't win one of these races and there's not 16 winners, being one of the top points earners without a win will get you in. Now the Cup Series field is more competitive than ever. Spots for non-winners have been sparse, so you've got to be the absolute best to earn a position in the playoffs. If you recall from earlier, the winner of each stage receives a playoff point, but the winner of each race receives 5 playoff points. These are bonus points you can accrue throughout the regular season and carry with you through each round of the playoffs. Playoff points are also awarded to the top 10 finishers in regular season standings after the first 26 races of the season, with first getting 15 points, second getting 9 points, third getting 8 points, so on and so forth. The playoffs are set, now let's fight for a championship. The playoffs are 10 races split into 4 rounds, with the first 3 rounds consisting of 3 races apiece. The bottom 4 drivers are eliminated at the conclusion of each round, leaving just 4 drivers remaining for the championship finale, which currently takes place at Phoenix Raceway. The championship race is fairly simple. You take your 4 contenders, put them heads up, and the highest finisher is your champion. There you have it. That's the basics for you. Well, that's the what, where, why, and how. The who? Well, that's a question for another day. Be sure to tune into our Bandwagoners Guide where we'll answer that question for you. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to tune in to the Big Motor Small Blade podcast for your weekly NASCAR race and news recap. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or you can watch right here on YouTube, and don't forget to subscribe. Go f*** yourself.